Welcome back, everybody. Tonight we have some big secrets. We're gonna play with our jackfruit. I'm gonna show you how to cook it from scratch, all the way from the beginning to the end. We're gonna be making a barbecue burrito, and this is the jackfruit. It's a little juicy at the moment. We do use a canned variety. You can also get it frozen, possibly, if you're lucky, but this one comes in a brine, and the brine helps it stay nice and white and fresh. If you can find it in water, it's okay, but it does tend to turn gray pretty quick. But that's what we use for tacos, burritos, the Mexi bowl, or enchiladas on the meal prep. A bunch of really cool, fun, awesome stuff. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come, so we're gonna jump right in, and we're gonna do the jackfruit part first because that takes a little bit to cook. So we have our jackfruit, and then the other part of the main part of the jackfruit is a mushroom. Most people probably don't realize there is a mushroom in the mix. We use a good oyster mushroom. This one's young, so it's not sweet. There's actually a young seed forming, so this is actually a seed, but we can just go ahead and eat that anyway. It's nice and soft. So we have a very special tool called chop and stir. Not sure how many other people use it for whatever we do, but it has some nice sharp edges on the bottom, so it does cut through the jackfruit. And the jackfruit, when you play with it, is really, really tacky, so it does kind of like stick to the bottom of whatever you're working with. But we just want to chop it all up nice, not really fine, but just make sure there's no any large clumps or anything like that. And I highly recommend a nice high-sided bowl. If you do it in a regular dish or just in a plate or whatever, you're gonna have jackfruit all over the place in a giant mess. The bowl helps keep it all in one place. So there's the jackfruit. With the oyster mushrooms, you just need to pull off this little bit here at the bottom. That's where it's attached to wherever it grows. So we're just gonna take that bit off. And then from here, we're just gonna chop it up nice and fine into some slices, break it up a little bit. The mushroom is the part that really adds more of the meaty flavor, taste, texture. The juices of the mushroom will come out when we cook the dish, and they help make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan, as well as just spread flavor throughout the whole dish and everything you're working with. So that's all ready. We're gonna add a good bit of oil into the pan, and we're gonna go ahead and throw all the mushrooms in. And then we're gonna take all the jackfruit, and we're just gonna throw all that in too at the same time. And we're just gonna let that sit for a little bit. The mushrooms will start to juice out, and then at that point, we're gonna go ahead and do a pressing technique. That's the big secret to making this meaty and get all the flavor out of the mushroom. And then while that's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and prep our other vegetables. We have a leek, a carrot, a nice purple cabbage, and then the spinach is already washed and cleaned, so nothing really to see there. And we'll start with the leek. You can take your end off here right at the bottom. And then we're gonna slice it down the middle because we don't need very large chunks or sections, I guess. And then when we slice it, you can see there's a little bit of dirt in here. Just make sure you wash your leek afterwards and get all the dirt off. It's really hard to get all this when you wash it the first time just because it's such a small crevice to get into. And you can slice this however you want, but I recommend fairly thin. And you don't have to slice it at an angle like we do. It just kind of changes the look and texture of it a little bit. You could just slice it like this if you wanted. And then always remember, practice good knife skills. You know, one in front, two behind your front fingers, and make sure you're putting the knife all the way up to your finger. That helps keep the knife stable while you're slicing and working with it, so you don't have any chance of it slipping or sliding or doing a really crazy cut. It does take some practice, but it's a really good skill to have. And we're gonna pop this into a strainer and just give it a good rinse. So that's all ready. And then this really isn't going to stick to the bottom of the pan. It's just slowly juicing out. And we'll give it a couple tosses here and there. And the biggest thing is to make sure we have all the chunks broken up. When you're cooking it, sometimes you'll see chunks like this. And this part right here is the tough part, you can tell. So you just want to make sure you break that up, and you can break it up in your pan if you want to. And we're on a good medium-ish heat, a little higher than medium. It helps just control the temperature and all that. You can go higher, you can go lower, depending on how much time you have. And we have a magical carrot. Just gonna give it a quick peel. Just take the end off real quick. All right. And then we're using our awesome grater again. If you have a food processor, you can use a food processor to do this part. And you can use a knife if you want to just chop it up nice and fine. But the grater just makes it a little easier, makes it nice and bite-sized so the chunks aren't too firm in the wrap itself. So there we have the cool looking carrot. And we're just going to push this to the side. We'll throw most of that into the dish. And then the purple cabbage, just like we did it last week or the week before. Take your end off, and then we're going to slice this in half. And at this point, you can wrap up your other half. You're probably not going to need it all for this dish. Always take your outer layer off. And then with the cabbage, we do little slices through it just to help the size of your slices even out and make sure none of them are way too big. And same thing, just going to slice it nice and thin. Always be aware of where your fingers are. Make sure your pinky and your thumb stay behind your other fingers while you're working. And that's all the prep you have to do. That's it. That's everything. And there's plenty of cabbage here to go around, so we'll end up putting that into a container because you definitely won't need to use it all. Now's the fun part. The jackfruit and mushroom mix has started to juice out. The mushrooms are getting softer, and you can see the juice kind of at the bottom of the pan. So we're going to grab our press, just another cast iron top. If you don't have one of these, you can grab a pot, a pan, anything that will fit inside of your current pan that you're working with. And we're just going to press it even more. And you'll see just a bunch of juice comes out, which is what you want to see. And then we're going to turn the heat up some more to speed the process up. This is a technique that I learned from the Wicked Healthy Kitchen. We've heard of them. Yes, the Sarno brothers, Good Catch Foods. They have a plant-based food line over in Europe, and they've done a bunch of fantastic things with this. This part does get hot, so make sure you have a towel or an oven mitt around because you don't want to burn yourself. But this is what we spend most of our mornings doing, is prepping jackfruit nearly every day. Quite a surprise because, you know, it doesn't look like a fruit when it comes out, but it's still a fruit technically. And cooking the jackfruit is the longest part of this process, so you just want to be patient with it. But when you get all the juices out, it makes the meaty, fibrous texture really stand out. And the more time you can put into it, the better it ends up. Just like slow roasting, smoking meats, anything like that. It's just the same thing, but we're using vegetables instead. And then one thing you can do if you're working with vegetables new for the first time, or if you aren't going to use up the whole vegetable for the recipe, prep it anyway. Put it into a container and pop it into your fridge so you can use it later on in the week. Things like cabbage, carrots, your broccoli, snap peas, they all add really good color to your dishes. So that's always the goal, is to build in as much color as possible. But with the mix in the pan, you're just going to flip it every so often. It'll start to brown up underneath. And you really just want to make sure you press out all the juice. So I was at the store, we're at Kroger's, I'm searching for some fruit, and there was a vegan cheesecake, frozen cheesecake. This is made by Daiya, and I don't know, I grew up loving cheesecake, eating cheesecake quite a bit.
That's simple.
It's all
enough.
vegan. It looks really good. I'm excited to try that. Haven't seen it, haven't tried one ever, so we'll see how it ends up. And so in this pot, I have some frozen dragon fruit, and we added some sugar. And we're just gonna cook it down, get rid of some of the liquid, and make it into a nice syrupy texture. That's the goal. And we'll see how this ends up. I don't know. And then if your pan gets too hot, just make sure you do turn it down. It does not need to be piping hot and burning your dish all the time. So I guess we have a little bit of downtime. I'd like to thank everybody who's tuned in so far. Next week will be our final live video for a couple weeks. We're gonna take a little break, kind of regroup, make a little plan, see what else we can do. So if anybody's looking for a dish for me to make next week, shout it out. Let me know what you want to see. We will have quite a good lineup coming up following our little break. Maybe some new equipment. We might even be on YouTube, live streaming there. We'll be all over trying different stuff. Part of what we do, we just go for it. See how it ends up. What about my Instagram? Yes, if you like seeing food, follow my Instagram at cut1, C-U-T-0-N-E. I post pictures of food, lots and lots of food. I also try to give some good motivation as to just get out and doing things, staying active, finding good personal growth. Because something that I've gone through these past few years is just a lot of grinding, a lot of personal growth and processing all that stuff. And it's something I think that a lot of people need kind of a little bit of a push to get into it, but also just know that there's people out there pulling for you, rooting for you all the time. We're here to lift people up, never to put anybody down. If you're looking to take your first step, we're here to help you out. So,
That's what the you is.
yeah. We got food, Mom does the fitness, and then the you is everybody in the family, our whole business itself. They've all really encompassed that, especially lately. COVID has definitely made our staff and our team tighter and much closer. It's very nice. It's been very nice. The jackfruit's starting to look like meat-ish, if you want to say that. More like a pulled pork texture.
Not steaming.
You can add a little more oil. And we're going to throw in our vegetables. Make sure you get out any big chunks. Don't do that. And we're just going to soften these up just enough. You can mix it all around with your jackfruit. And then one trick, don't add any salt because your jackfruit is in a brine. And if you add any salt or too much salt, you'll quickly go over the top and not necessarily ruin the dish, but you'll definitely know there's plenty of salt in it.
Does that not look good?
Yum. If you want to get a cheesecake, go to Kroger's. They're in the freezer section next to the fruit. And then the dragon fruit, the pink dragon fruit, is about 2 doors down to the left. You can grab some of that. And all you got to do is cook it down, add a little bit of sugar. And then here our mix is really starting to come alive. The vegetables are cooked down, they're getting softer. The leeks especially. Before I add the barbecue sauce, I'm going to soften up our tortilla. You want to warm your tortillas a little bit before you try to roll them. or else when you roll it, you'll end up ripping it on the back half, especially if you overstuff your burritos. And in case anybody's wondering, this is on our actual menu. You can order this tomorrow and we'll make it up fresh. You can order online, you can give us a call, you can stop in, you can go carry out. We have our dining room in the back, we've got outdoor seating, we've got pretty much everything. And then now the last step is to add in your barbecue sauce to the mix. And just give it a good toss around. And then once your mix is done, just make sure you turn your pan all the way down. You don't need it to stay hot or to keep cranking the heat too much, because we're gonna roll this up, put it onto the pan to seal it. So here we have our jackfruit mix. And you can also use any other vegetables you want in this. You don't have to use leeks or cabbage or spinach. And then we have our Miyoko's cheese. Probably the best cheese out there. And then to wrap the burrito, you're gonna fold it in and make sure there's enough room on both sides. And then I pinch, and I make sure that that stays in the middle, so when I wrap it all the way over, it's tucked into the burrito wrap itself. And hopefully it doesn't come apart, just a little bit. A little stuffed here, if you can see, but that's all right. And then you wanna make sure you put it with, I guess, the flappy part first, down to seal it. And then we're gonna flip it over and make sure that gets sealed in there too. And there you have it. A meaty barbecue jackfruit burrito. And we highly recommend a smoothie to go with it.
Yes.
The most popular is pink. And that has the dragon fruit in it also. 100% fruit. And spinach, if you want spinach. So yes, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Be sure to like, comment, leave your comments below. Go to YouTube at FoodFitnessYou on YouTube, and be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all those funny things down below. We really do appreciate it. Helps us out, keeps us going, lets us know people are watching it, actually. It's nice. And if you do cook the dish, take a picture, let me know, send it to me, put it on Facebook, tag us. Snapchat, we're on Snapchat too, actually. You can do that.
I don't know.
But yeah, have some fun with it. If you have any failures, or if you make it better than me, let me know, and we'll have a cook-off and we'll go from there. But you know, this is just a good showing of being plant-based is not just all about eating grass and greens, but you can still have fun. You still enjoy a little bit of sugar here and there, but you can do many wonderful things with all the vegetables out there. So thank you all, and we'll see you next week.